Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. This is going to be kind of a maybe extended hurricane update. I'm not going to get it too detailed right now. The models are acting a little strange today, back and forth. But anyway, we're going to do a quick update. My current location is in Wilmington, North Carolina, and we're here near the coastline, and it's a very secure location at this particular point. So officially, we've got a hurricane warning up and down the coast, North Carolina as well as South Carolina, and still have a major hurricane out there. Florence is fluctuating from Cat 4 earlier last night and this morning back down to Cat 3. And the intensity is going to change over the next day or so, up and down, depending on eye wall replacement and a little bit of shear increasing here in about 48 hours and things like that. So I'm going into a lot of details about that. This is the official forecast. This is really all you need to pay attention to on the official line of what's going to happen, where it's going. We have a major hurricane approaching the coastline. So I'm going to show you a couple of things here, a little bit different tonight. This is my Baron software here that we use for tracking storms, all kinds of threats. This happens to be a hurricane. So anyway, right now this is official forecast tracking. Then today, one of the biggest things we're going to be worried about is this Hurricane Florence approaches the coast is also, storm surge and big, huge battering waves. And of course, today there's, some big waves out here. This is a wave height product, and this tells us this uses a combination of buoys as well as model data and satellite data. And there's some 48, 50-foot waves out there. And as you get closer to the coast, this is current time right now. It tells us how big the wave heights are and what's coming this way. Basically, is what's going to happen. So earlier today, when the hurricane hunters were out there, there was a wave height of about 83 feet, kind of a rogue wave in the northeast quadrant of the eye, and so that was a kind of an interesting thing that happened. I mean, those kind of things happen, with those kind of these big hurricanes are going to get those rogue waves that happened during Katrina in the Gulf of Mexico. We had waves over 65 feet. So those waves, they won't maintain that height, but as it comes to the northwest with time, those wave heights will approach the coastline. So you're going to have large battering waves with time coming to the coastline. As we zoom in here, as this thing comes up to the coastline, as we get into later tomorrow night, and then Friday, and then Saturday, as this thing slowly comes toward the coast and decelerates, the wave heights are going to be high. They're going to be large battering waves, and it's going to cover a large area. They're going to extend all the way up here off the corner of the Cape, all the way southward. So this whole area is going to have large battering waves along the coast for several days, and that's going to, over time, that's going to bring down those sound barriers, the sand dunes out here on the outer barrier islands, and those with those large battering waves, those dunes will fail as we get into later tomorrow night, and then especially during Friday and Saturday, as the hurricane makes its way up toward Wilmington. Whether it goes south of us, east of us, west of us, still yet to be determined. But as those things happen, over time, that's kind of what we're looking at. The large battering waves coming to shore, and this area generally in this Wilmington area, all the way up and down the coast here, this is going to be the area that's going to have a lot of problems. Some of the models this afternoon take it over Wilmington. Some of the models go east of Wilmington. Some of the models come up to Wilmington, install it, and then go back southwest. I gotta be honest with you, last night's model shoved everything southwestward. You saw the new NHC track this morning. It took it down to Myrtle Beach, possibly all the way down farther southwest than that. This afternoon's model's updated, this morning's updated, and 18Z updated, and the models are back to the right again. Not all of them, but some of them are. If you look at the current satellite, and if you look at the current position it was supposed to be in, the hurricane is slightly to the right of the forecast track. It's a wobble. It happened about 3 hours ago. Does it stay on course? Does it move back on course? And that's what we end up with. With the hurricane just southeast of Wilmington here on Friday at noon, 2 o'clock. It's yet to be determined. It's kind of back and forth with the models and the track. And the biggest problem is in about 48 hours, along the whole coastline here, the upper winds at mid-levels kind of collapse, meaning that the steering currents weaken after about that 48-hour, 72-hour window. And when that happens, depending on where Florence is at that time, it could stall right here on the coast. It could be inland. It could be just offshore. I don't think anybody knows right now. It's too early to determine what how that's going to play out. And I'm not going to tell you tonight. I don't know either. I mean, I don't think anybody knows. We'll see what happens. But right now, the official forecast track is just south of Wilmington here, going down in this area, down toward the southern end of Wilmington. That'll put Wilmington and Wilmington Beach in this area in the right northeast quadrant of large battering waves, storm surge, very high winds. The other thing that's going to happen here, which I think is going to be a really big problem, and that is that we're going to have a situation where we're going to have a lot of waves here, a lot of high winds along the coastline for a long time. I'm going to switch over to this kind of a good Google map here. Let me show you what we've got here, which is nice. And this is just a basic old good Google map, and we'll talk about this because this is interesting. So one of the things I've done over the last 2 days is I've went up and down the coast everywhere. And I've talked to local emergency management, talked to the fire officials, talked to the search and rescue. I can tell you I was at Caroline Beach most of the day today, all down south here in this area. I can tell you they've come in and they are blocking the bridge at around 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. The military, the National Guard's in here. They brought in concrete barriers. They're blocking the outer barrier islands with concrete barriers. And that happened around 5-ish, 6 o'clock. So that you cannot, no more access out of here, down here to the Caroline Beach, which is good. This is going to go underwater. It's going to have damaging waves, that kind of thing. The thing that's going to unfold, I'm going to give you kind of a 30,000 foot overview after, going up and down the coast, looking at the roads, looking at the infrastructure, looking at the trees, looking at how wet everything is already here in place before the hurricane gets here, and kind of how I see this thing unfolding. And again, it's not from the official. This is a 30,000 foot overview how I see this thing unfolding, it's very complicated. I'll tell you that right now. It's extremely complicated what's going to happen here. Because there's so many threats and they're all huge and going to have massive impacts on lots and lots of people. And the people that decided to stay even in Wilmington, you're going to have a lot of problems down the road here, I think. So as I tour the coast, one of the problems that I immediately jumped out at me on Highway 17 here, which is kind of in from the coastal outer barrier islands, it's kind of a nice wide open road in the sense of you've got a good 100-yard width and you've got good travel. And what I mean by that is you don't necessarily have a lot of trees right next to the highway. And there's power lines along these highways. As you get into the city of Wilmington, it's like any other city. The problem in Wilmington, or in this Wilmington area, is there's just millions of trees. There's thousands and tens of thousands of telephone poles, and those trees are right next, in many cases, over the power lines on east-west roads, north-south roads, all over the city. This whole area is covered with just tremendous amounts of trees, power lines. So what I envision happening as the hurricane approaches, and this actually, same problem is going to extend all the way up and down the coast here. On these other roads, in order to get to these outer barrier islands like Topsail Beach, Surf City, I'm very concerned about Surf City. I'll just tell you that right now. I think this place, depending on the track, could be in big, big trouble. All these outer barrier islands, you got these kind of these north-south roads that you have to take in order to get to the outer barrier islands. Okay, these little secondary roads. Well, on most of those roads, they have a lot of trees and power lines right next to the road. That's just how it is, okay? So you're talking about little, 2-lane roads with many, many trees and many, many power lines, and this is all over the coastline here. So if you envision for a minute these deep east-northeast winds, 50 going up to 75 as we possibly get in later tomorrow night, up to 100 miles an hour, and that's all on the coast here. The first thing that's going to happen is as the winds pick up, we're going to start having trees come down. We're going to start having power lines come down. You're going to start having flying debris. As these roads, east-west roads, these kind of the northwest, southeast roads, all through the city here, as trees from the east and northeast fall across those roads, then you're going to start blocking all these roads. It'll start north up here first as the higher winds come up here first. And then it'll come down the coastline as we get late in the afternoon and tomorrow night. And so as the trees fall across all this area, and well inland as well, way inland as well, then you're going to start blocking the roads both north-south and east-west. That's the first problem that's going to unfold, okay? You're going to have power outages. That's the second thing. Then as the hurricane approaches, as we get late tomorrow and overnight tomorrow night into Friday morning, Then you're going to have this onshore flow, whether it's 100, 120, goes to 140, whatever the number is. You're going to have these large battering waves. You're going to have the storm surge coming in. So all these barrier islands are going to start going under water. Okay, they're going to start taking in water. At the same time, we have inland freshwater flooding going on from the tremendous amount of water. And the latest NWS forecast from the forecast on the flooding, they just raised it, which is, I'll show you that here in a minute. It's very high. It's 30 to 50 inches in this general area, Wilmington area. We're all on the coastline here, over a 3 to 4 day period. So you start getting inland flooding. So you're going to have creeks, rivers, streams, the streets that never flood before are going to go underwater. So now you're going to have water not only along the coastline, you're going to have water start accumulating on these back tributaries trying to drain to the coast. Then you're going to start getting water in neighborhoods in places that have never flooded in the history of North Carolina, South Carolina. You're going to potentially have water in houses and businesses and hotels that have never flooded in the history of North Carolina. That's what's going to happen. So now I've got the roads blocked. I've got power lines down on the entire coast. I've got storm surge coming into the coast. Now we've got inland flooding occurring, and people are going to need probably water rescues, not just on the coastline. Hopefully they've evacuated, but also inland. So you kind of get the big picture real quick what's going to happen here. We have, there's 4 or 5 major catastrophes all unfolding at the same time. And a lot, depending on where if the eye comes ashore, if it doesn't come ashore, those could be, heightened, the more of an impact, depending on where and if the eye comes ashore, what intensity is. Is it a Cat 3? Is it a Cat 4? Does it stay off the coast here and weaken from a 4 to 3 down to a 2, and then comes on shore? There's all these variables that I can't answer, and I don't think anybody can answer right now. It's still unfolding. We'll see. But really my message is, after touring the entire coast of North Carolina over the last 4 days and talking numerous emergency officials, and it's a particular hotel I'm at right now tonight here in Wilmington, I can tell you there are search and rescue, water rescue, high water rescue, fire departments here from all over the area. And the concern is there's going to be lots of problems here. And I don't know if there's enough resources here already or will be in the coming days to respond to all the requests that are going to be coming in over the entire state, this whole area. This is going to be a big problem over a large area. I mean, it's not just Wilmington. I'm focused on Wilmington because that's kind of the hurricane bullseye, but it's going to be a large area. So really the message is tonight, if you're in a creek area, if you live near a stream, if you flooded in the past or nearly flooded before near a river and creeks, no matter if you're in a city, I would probably, based on the current forecast of rain, especially along those coastal areas, if you can get out, because not only you have the problem now, as we get into tomorrow night and Friday and Saturday, and the thing stalls and the rain and power is going to be out. And I said this 4 days ago. I forecast power is going to be out if we get these real high winds, 100, 120, gusts to 140 along the coastline. Power could be out weeks, and in the most extreme areas, power could be out for months. This is going to be, you don't want to be at your house. You don't want to be in your apartment for weeks with no power, no food, no water, no gas. It's going to be miserable, and it's hot. It is mega hot here. And after a hurricane, you dump 30 inches of water and let the sun come out. It's 90 degrees. You don't know miserable. I mean, it is brutal, and it may be days, at least 3 days, if not 5 to 7, before emergency services can en masse can bring enough supplies in to feed and water people that are stranded at their homes. So I'm telling you, I'm painting a really bad picture because from a 30,000 foot view, this is what's going to happen. I don't see no way around this. If the thing comes up the coast and weakens and stays off the coast and dissipates, that'd be wonderful, but that's a 1 in a million shot at this point. I think we've got huge, massive problems coming to the coast, and I think that the Wilmington Weather Office summed it up best last night. They said this is going to be a historic event from a flash flooding in all the previous hurricanes from Fran to Floyd. These are going to be major impacts all on the coast like we've never seen before. And I can tell you from chasing hurricanes that this is going to be a very difficult hurricane to chase. It's a very high risk chase in the sense of location and where I'm at. And of course, people deem me all day of where am I going to be at the next day or two. I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to stay somewhere safe. I'm going to stay out of the water. I'm going to stay out of the high water. And I can't tell you if it's going to flood at our hotel. I'm sure it is. But if you think about 30 inches, 20 inches of rain, over 2 days. Just take 2 foot of water over a city or your neighborhood. Where's all that water going to go? I mean, it's it's going to be in people's houses. It's going to be in businesses. It's going to be in the power substations. It's going to be everywhere. And that's really my message. I mean, it's kind of bleak, to be honest with you. It's just kind of bleak. When we start streaming tomorrow, and I don't know what time yet, I'm going to plan on getting out, mid-morning time, and we're going to start evaluating. The other thing we're going to look at is go back to radar. Here, I'll just go this one fast. This is the Wilmington radar. Your Morehead City, and then Wilmington, the Wilmington radar, the National Weather Service radar out of Wilmington. You can, if they go out to the extended range, you can already see a little bit of the outer bands, just a little bit of the outer bands. You just start to see the hurricane back, just some outer bands way out off the coast here. They're way off the coast here. So they're out there, they're out there ways. But if you loop it, you can start to see the bands, and by morning, you'll see more of the rain bands coming in. So basically starting tomorrow, I'm a radar guy. That's what I do for a living. That's what I sell. Weather and storm tracking equipment. It's all about the radar. I don't care about the models. When it comes tomorrow morning, I'll look at the official forecast track. This is what I'm going to be watching all day tomorrow. I'm going to be watching. My eyes are going to be glued all day to the radar out of Wilmington. Where's the eye going? Where's it wobbling? Which way is it tracking? And at that point, then I'll adjust up and down the coast, back up here or back south, depending on how this eye approaches the coast. Does it do one of these and comes down? I just don't know right now. And that's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. So, until I get a better handle of what's going to happen, then you can start kind of bullseyeing where the real high impacts are going to be as we get into late tomorrow and Friday and Saturday. So that's kind of a short 30,000 foot overview of what's going to happen. We're going to try to stream both on YouTube Live tomorrow as well as Periscope. And I think we'll be able to bring you something really special tomorrow. I think you'll see something later tomorrow that's never been done before. I can't go into details right now, but I will tell you, I've got life jackets with me. We have water vehicles available to us that are going to be near us. But we're in constant communication with the weather service as well as emergency management here and the fire departments. So we're going to stay safe and chase this thing as safe as we can. But the hazards are going to be extreme, and from storm surge to the winds are going to be just horrendous here. This is going to be like a 48 hour, think of 100-mile-an-hour winds for I'm going to go really over the top here, 24, 36 hours along the coast. It may be even longer. It's going to be crazy. They have hurricane force winds that long, and at times it'll be gusts 120, 125, 130. It's not going to be a deal where it comes in and it lasts 4 or 5 hours and the eye passes and the winds die down and it's over with and everybody comes out 6 hours later and says, oh, good, we survived this. It's not that kind of situation. This is like no other hurricane I think the United States has even seen on what's getting ready to happen. It's got a little bit of Harvey in it from last year and the flooding capability of Houston and Rockport, what happened there with that Cat 4 making landfall last year. It's got a little bit of Andrew. It's got a little bit of Katrina in it. It's got kind of a mixture, but no two hurricanes or no two tropical storms are alike. So this one scares me, but in a different way because the hazards are so extreme for such a long duration. I don't know if anybody's infrastructure is going to hold up to this kind of stuff. And I'm not just talking about houses and buildings. It's just roofs and facilities. I'm just very, very concerned for lots of people. And I really hope a lot of people you guys evacuated. If you haven't left the coast and you're near the coast, on the coast, and you know you're going to be impacted, you're in this Wilmington area, all on this coast, all the way down to Myrtle Beach, all the way down to Charlotte. If you're along the coastline, leave tonight. Get out. First thing in the morning, get out of town, go out northwest, go up to Raleigh, get up to Charlotte, go to Atlanta, get away from the coast, because once power goes out over this huge area, you're going to be miserable. I'm just telling you, you're going to be miserable. So anyway, that's enough of the rant. I don't know how much more I can say. It's kind of a dire warning, and I'm telling you, it's dire what's getting ready to happen here, because I know what's coming, and it's in all the data says it's really bad what's coming. That's kind of it. I hope you will tune with us. I won't do an update until sometime after lunch is my best guess right now. It'll be after noon, 1 o'clock is when the first should be streaming shortly. I'm thinking sometime after lunch. Might be 2, 3 o'clock, but I think we'll have tropical storm force winds definitely in the morning, possibly going to hurricane force winds approaching the coast by later tomorrow afternoon, whether it's 3, 5, 6, 7, somewhere in that time, especially on up to the north of Wilmington there. Then at that point, then we're going to start the stream, and then here we go. It's going to be a 3 or 4 day marathon. So hang with us. It's going to be pretty incredible. So anyway, that's my short deal. I'm sorry I can't answer all the deals. You can follow us on Tornado Alley Video. If you want to subscribe tonight, Tornado Alley Video on YouTube, all one word. Again, Tornado Alley Video on YouTube. Subscribe tonight. So when I start the YouTube stream tomorrow, you can log in, and we're going to try to have some really nice video on that stream, better than iPhone. This is going to be full-blown cameras, full-blown high-res. It's going to be nice stuff. So you definitely want to tune in tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night when we start the live stream with YouTube. That's it. That's a short, sweet deal. You guys, we had our last hot meal for today, and just a few minutes ago at a nice restaurant here locally here in Wilmington. It was fantastic, and I'm going to get a good night's sleep again tonight, and then we're going to basically be nonstop starting tomorrow afternoon for the probably right through Sunday morning, Saturday night, and there's going to be so much stuff happening. It's going to be overwhelming, to be honest with you. So anyway, I hope everybody stays safe. Listen to your local emergency management. Listen to your local National Weather Service. Follow the National Hurricane Center on the hurricane track. They know best and are the official forecast for where this hurricane is going. Things are going to change. They're going to change again tomorrow. They're going to change probably as we get in even Friday morning. They're going to change more. And I can't tell you where it's going to make landfall, or if it even does make landfall. It should make landfall. It's going to be very close to Wilmington here as we get into late tomorrow night and Friday noon, 2 o'clock time frame. So we'll see how that unfolds. But anyway, that's it. Thanks, guys. Thanks for everybody Periscope tuning in. We appreciate all the super hearts. And like I said, tomorrow's going to be an unbelievable, starting late tomorrow, right through Friday and right into Saturday. It's going to be unbelievable out here. Thank you guys so much.